Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center. Man, round one of the 2025 NFL draft is in the books, and I will say the Giants are coming out of round one as winners. I know that they've been kind of giving it grades, giving the draft picks grades in terms of teams and how they, who they picked up. And I would say that the Giants most definitely is an A. Like, I thought that there was an A even when they got Abdul Carter, but then for them to even go back and get Jaxson Dart just shows you where they're at. So if you think about it, even last year they went and got a pretty good piece in terms of Malik Neighbors receiver wise, to kind of make steps in the right direction. And then you fast forward to this year, things last year didn't work out with Jaxson Dart. So what does that, not Jaxson Dart, my bad, but with Daniel Jones. So what does that tell you as an organization? Okay, now we're back looking for a quarterback. So they pursued the quarterback position pretty aggressively. I mean, even if you look at the acquisitions in this offseason with the signings, the free agent signings with signing Russell Wilson, signing Jameis Winston, and then now you see that they able to end up going to go get Jaxson Dart, which is a pretty good pickup as well. Now you get Jaxson Dart, who sits behind two seasoned vets in terms of quarterbacks in the NFL. You got Russell Wilson, who has been to two Super Bowls, was able to win one, has been in some high-stakes games throughout his career, and carries himself pretty good in a professional manner. Same thing with Jameis Winston. He hasn't had success to the extent that Russell Wilson has, but he has had some success, and he has experience, and he knows the game, and he carries himself pretty good as a professional. So it's things that he can take from the both of those guys, but it's going back to what I was saying. See, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, and I would say that our grade is probably our draft grade. I would say will probably be a D, honestly, because we took an offensive lineman before we even had a quarterback to even know to like who are we blocking for. We haven't even figured out the quarterback situation. So until you figure that situation out, I'm a firm believer in that. With that, nothing works until you can figure out that situation, right? Nothing else works until you can figure out that situation. So the Giants realize one thing. We need a quarterback now, and then we need a quarterback for the future. Russ is aging. Jameis is aging. They done been around. Obviously, they're not the quarterbacks of the future. Jaxson Dart is the quarterback of the future. Now, you take him and you put him behind two seasoned vets now and let him develop. So let's just say if he comes along in maybe week 2, maybe even week 3, maybe even week 4. We really don't know. But look at how far advanced he would be, being that he was sitting behind two seasoned vets. It puts him in a good position for the future to be able to come in and have success right away. And then obviously, man, one of my favorite guys to cover this draft, since I was covering the draft, some of the top picks leading up to the draft, Abdul Carter by far was probably my favorite. I would say one of my favorites. I don't know if I want to say just my favorite, but he was one of my top guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, just watching Abdul Carter, man, I think that the Giants got them a stud within him. I mean, you got that piece. Like, when you think about from a defensive standpoint, when you want to be a disruptive defense, right, a lot of times what you do disruptive starts up front. Look at what Tampa Bay did the year that they was able to win the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. You look at their dominance. Their dominance was up front. Secondary was kind of questionable at times, but consistently dominating, it was up front. Look at what they did to Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Going back to the Eagles this past season, look at what the Eagles was able to do over the course of this year, and then look at what they did in terms of dominating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. All of that started up front, and having a guy and look at Michael Parsons. Obviously, similarities there between Abdul Carter and Michael Parsons, say Chandler Parsons and Michael Parsons. Obviously, they both played for Penn State, but similar playing style, similar build. You see the success that he's had, and you see the havoc that he has been causing since he's been in, and you kind of, you look and say that, okay, Abdul Carter can have that same effect. He's a solid guy, man. I mean, he can rush the quarterback, whether he has his hand in the ground or whether he's standing up. And he also can play linebacker as well, something that I like, that I've seen from him, being able to just play, a spy linebacker if need be. And I seen one of the analysts made a good point that being that he's able, that was Saban, that made a good point about him being able to play a spot. And you got to think about, look at who they have to play: New York, Washington, the Commanders, right? So you're going to have a linebacker that's able to spot and possibly run with Jaden Daniels, or be sideline to sideline to stop him from, potentially extending plays and things like that. And I think that the Giants realized that too, that look at how good the Commanders have gotten this year. The Cowboys are always still a team that can compete. And then you obviously look at Philadelphia, who everybody's assuming to possibly be back in the Super Bowl again. It's too early to tell, but that's kind of the expectation that you've heard, especially Eagles fans, right? So the Giants knew that they had to make some very solid moves in order to be able to compete. And man, I think they done that, man. You know, obviously, you know, you look forward to the future with Jaxson Dart, but I'm looking forward to the present right now with just seeing how Abdul can come in and how he can make a change with that defense. Because like I say, bringing in a guy like that, that's very disruptive. We all know that the guy who can affect the quarterback the most is the one that's closest to him. Most of the time, that's a defensive lineman and that's a linebacker. And you have a guy in Abdul who can play both. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly which I think they said that he started off as a standing up linebacker and slowly started to transition into an edge rusher. But, you know, he still has those tendencies, those skills, and those instincts to be able to play a linebacker if need be. And, you know, I think that's a solid add to that defense, man. So, man, looking at it, man, I would probably say, man, the Giants probably is the team that, in my opinion, that has benefited the most from the draft, man. You know, you get your quarterback of the future with Jaxson Dart, and then you get that game changer on defense with Abdul. So, man, that's going to be an interesting piece to see how that plays out over the course of, you know, this next season or the course of the next 3-4 seasons, you know, especially when Jaxson Dart is able to kind of get his start and be able to, you know, see the field and, you know, try to hopefully lead that franchise to, you know, some winning seasons in the future. But, man, that is it for this video, man. If you're a New York fan, let me know how happy you guys are to get Jaxson Dart and Abdul. Let me know what you guys think about it. Do you guys think Abdul will have an immediate impact? I do, you know, but I would love to hear you guys' take on that. But like I said, man, if you did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And when you subscribe, make sure that you got my notification bell on there where you be notified every time I upload, man, because you know the draft ain't over. We got more stuff coming, so I'm gonna be dropping back to back, so you don't want to miss no upload. And I'll see y'all in the next video.